Sunday or
Sunday evening. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Homish Rashi, Parshas Emor. We continue with the third reading.
three?
Lishi. Vayikra. Leviticus 22, verse 17. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar. And Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Daber al Aaron. Oh, guess who he's speaking to again?
The same guy.
To Aaron, Elbanav, and to his children, his sons, Kol Bnei Israel, and to all of the children of Israel. Amarta Aleim Ish Ish Mi Beis Yisrael. Oh, so actually, folks, we're not now yet. In the last 2 days, we were speaking. Moshe should speak to Aaron.
Yeah.
And to his sons because it was for the Kohanim.
Yeah.
Now we're going to everybody.
Mm.
But why Aaron? Because he would teach Aaron first, then he would teach his sons, and then he would teach the elders actually, and then Bnei Israel. So it was taught 4 times.
Sons is referring to all the Kohanim.
Well, at the time it was just
it
was just his sons at the time, right? Because it's only his descendants, right?
So a small group,
right? Exactly. El Kol Bnei Israel, to all of the children of Israel, and you should say to them, Ish, man, meaning any man. The base Israel, from the house of Israel. Oh, this is not just for the Kohanim, right?
Yeah.
Obeger Israel, and for the ger, the convert, meaning in Israel, Asher Yakriv Karbonai, when he will bring his offering. L'chol nidreihem, for all of their neder means a vow. L'chol nidvoisa means their donations. Nediv, right? Nidava, right? Their donations. Asher yakriva, that they will bring forward, that they will offer. La Hashem, for Hashem, la oila, for a oila, burnt offering. Okay, let's see Rashi. Rashi in 18. Nidreihem, their vows. This refers to pledges that are using the formula Hare Alai. Behold, it is upon me to bring such and such an offering, right? That's what it means. Nidvoisam, they're voluntary offerings. That means a pledge. It was using the formula Hare Zu. This animal or meal or wine is consecrated as an offering. The one is the second one is on a particular animal.
Yeah.
Right. That is called a pledge. You're pledging that animal.
Yeah.
That a neder means a vow. You're taking upon yourself not a particular animal, but a particular offering. Okay. Particular offering. Difference between the two. Got it?
Wait, is it you're taking on yourself a commitment to taking any offering? That's what it means?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean any oil offering here, meaning a burnt offering, right?
Yeah.
Not a shlomim, not a peace offering. Yeah. But it's not about a particular animal. It's the obligation is on me to bring an offering. I'm going to bring an offering, right? I suppose this is an offering. Yeah. So I'm going to bring. That's called a neder. That's called a vow because it's about it's on you, right? And nedava means that this is the gift, right? Particular. Okay? For to be favorable for you, tamim, pure, unblemished, meaning zachar, a male, babakar of cattle, or b'miksavim, or sheep, or ba'izim. That's 3 different types that you can bring, right? 19 Rashi, what does it mean for an appeasement for you? Heviu davar, bring something, haroi, that's fitting. That will be appeasing of you before me, right? In others, bring some. If you're wealthy and you're going to bring something that is a pauper's gift, that won't be appeasement, right? Something that's fitting for you to bring. And that you should be appeased before me. If you recall, in the third part of Tanya, we learned in Igeres Tshuva that there's 2 things. When you are bringing an offering, there is your tshuva that you're doing. Tshuva has nothing to do with the offering, right? An offering is appeasement. In other words, tshuva means that you fixed the wrong.
Mhm.
But the fix the wrong, like, if you did something wrong to your friend and you said you're sorry, so you fixed the wrong, but that doesn't mean you're in the same standing that you were prior to when you did something wrong, right? You're not in the same standing exactly. Bringing the offering, it says, to make you favorable, right? Right? That you should be favorable before Hashem, meaning that you should be standing in the stead. And this is the offering on the altar, right? If you brought the offering on the altar without tshuva, it means nothing. You did tshuva, now you brought the offering that's appropriate for you, then God will look at you in a favorable way like he did before you did the wrong thing.
But if you just did teshuva, then like it's good, but you're still not up to where you were before.
Exactly. Yeah. In Old French, apément. Where's Menachem Hillel?
Fabrice works for this.
I think he's still davening.
He's still
Lots of
davening.
davening.
Okay.
Apaisement.
So,
Apaisement.
apaisement? No,
That one in
apément.
French.
So no
Oh,
S.
right.
There's no French S there.
I have to do, okay, I have to do an update.
God
Well,
forbid.
actually,
God forbid.
Eh?
God forbid.
An update.
God forbid. Rashi, we learn Old French with Rashi. No new
Yeah,
French.
I have to turn
This is a no new French zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said
Only Old French.
I'm gonna do update from new to old French.
Yeah. So apément.
Apaisement. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
The Asa, right, Laratza, and why is it fitting for an appeasement? Tamim Zocher, something easy. One that is unblemished, male, from cattle, sheep, or a goat. Okay. Right. Well, as the verse says.
Yeah.
Verse 20, V'chol kol asher yesh baimum. On the other hand, any animal that does have a blemish, lo sakriva, do not bring as an offering, ki lo l'ratzini yelochem, because that will not be favorable for you. 21, v'ish ki yakriv mizevach shlomim. So that was oila offering, right?
Mhm.
Now we're going to shlomim, to peace offering. A person, a man, when he will offer a zevach shlomim, a peace offering, La Hashem for Hashem lefela neder. Lefela neder, declaring a vow. Fela, to declare neder, right?
Mhm.
So we had the word neder,
Yeah.
right? That was before in the previous, right? A vow. Oil and adava, if you can let Andrew in, please. Or for an adava, which is again the donation,
Mhm.
right? But bakar, either with cattle or with flock. Tamim also has to be pure. Here, there's no izim, there's no goat over here,
Yeah.
right? If you noticed, tamim, but it has to be unblemished, right? And then it will be favorable. Kol mum lo yeboy, and should have no defect. Rashi lefela lahafrish b'diburoi. So he adds a word over here, right?
Yeah, he adds goat.
No, goat was earlier, was not added here. Here it's missing goat.
Yeah, it's missing, but then in Rashi it says.
No, he doesn't say.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he's saying lefela. There was also a word added over here that was not previously. Before it said neder or nedava, but here it adds the word lefela. Lefela means that you verbally, lahafrish b'dibura, Rashi says, that it's not enough that you have it mindfully, but you have to actually say it verbally,
Mhm.
right? In other words, this sheep is going to be for an offering,
Yeah.
right? Or it is upon me to bring a sheep, right?
Okay.
So not
Can't just think it.
you can't just think it exactly. Okay. 22. Averis, an animal that has blindness, or shover, or broken bone meaning, or charutz, or has a eye that's split, an eyelid that's split,
Mhm.
or a lip, or yabelis, or it has a wart, or a garav, or a dry lesion, or yalephis, or a sore, lo yisakrivu, do not offer it. Right? Don't offer it. Eila la Hashem, these particular ones to Hashem. V'isha lo yisitnu, do not place it on the fire, mayhem of them. Al mizbeach Hashem, la Hashem, on the altar for God. Right? So now it's explaining what does it mean, tamim. Tamim means unblemished, right? By the way, Lubavitcher students in yeshiva, they're called tmimim, from the word tamim, pure, whole, complete, unblemished. Taim Chei Tmimim is the name of the Chabad yeshiva. As,
Yeah, it is.
as instituted, right, as instituted by the Rebbe Rashab. Okay, 22. Averes, blindness, shame, davar, shalmum ivarin. This is a noun denoting a blemish of blindness. The lashon nekeva, it's a feminine form, iveres, because it's got the tough at the end, makes it feminine form. Shlo yeh boy, that the lo yeh boy, preceding verse, which says it should not be in it, mum shel iveres, a blemish of blindness.
I don't understand that. What's the significance of it being in the female form?
I'm not certain. So it seems to be suggesting that it's not a feminine form. Because according to the commentators, because lo yeh boy in the previous verse, like it's a continuation from the previous verse. The previous verse said should not be in it, which is ba would be feminine with a hey at the end. Boy is masculine. So it's masculine. So now it's saying a feminine form, and the rest is all right. So Rashi is just saying that it's not a feminine form. It is. That's how I understand it from the commentators.
So he's saying even though it doesn't match up with the form of
No, so in other words, it seems to be feminine form, but if it was a feminine form, then we written Ivarin, not Averis. So therefore, he's saying that it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's diktuk. We're gonna have to come to learn more of that. Okay. Oy shavor or broken, lo yet, it should not be. Charutz, ris shel ayin shenizdak, this is an eyelid that is split, or shenifkam, or is marred. Nechein, likewise, falling under this category is tzvasa shenizdika, if the lip was split, or nifkama, or was marred. Yabelis is a wart, old French, veru.
I don't know this word.
Ah.
I don't know this word.
After you finish all of Chumash and Rashi and all of his old French, then you'll know a language. Yeah. Okay. Garav. Dry lesion. Min chazozis. It's a type of rash. An eruption. Lushan, right, of an eruption of a rash. Lushan yalefis, kamoy, yilpois. He's just showing different instances where the yalpois shimshain means that concept of something erupting. Da'achuz aboy, nisa she'ein la refuah. Okay, next. Lo yisakrivu. So look, if you go back to the verse, right? So it said lo yisakrivu, right? You should not offer it. But if you go back, Okay, let's see Rashi. Shalosh pamim. This phrase, not to offer, is mentioned 3 times. In our verse,
Only once.
yeah, and then if you go to verse 24, it's mentioned once there too. And then verse 25 also.
Verse 24.
Or verse 20. No, verse 20 says 1, right?
Yeah.
We're in verse 20. We're in verse 22, also says, and then verse 24.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Repetitive seemingly. Lahazir, this is to state the negative commandment al hakdashason, against consecrating a blemished animal, al shchitason, on slaughtering this animal, al zrikas damam, and sprinkling the blood on the altar. In other words, it's 3 separate prohibitions here. That if you take an animal that is got one of these blemishes, and you either consecrate it, that's already a prohibition. You might think, well, right. And another prohibition then afterwards, if you slaughter it, a second. And then if you take the blood and you put it on the altar. So you would be then 3 prohibitions you would be transgressing. If you just did 1, if you only just consecrated it and then didn't slaughter it, so then it'd be only 1. But it's 3 different prohibitions, in other words.
So consecrate just means like you're designating that this one is going to be an offering.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Isha lo sitnu, should not place it on the fire offering. So this is a negative commandment of burning it on the altar, which is the 4th now prohibition.
Yeah, related.
Yeah, exactly. 23.
But this 4th one is only mentioned once, whereas the other ones are.
No, the other ones are also mentioned once.
Oh,
So
you're
that's
right.
what he's saying. Loi sakrivu, do not offer. So
Yeah.
in what
way?
constitutes an offering?
Yeah.
So since it says it 3 times not to offer, it is implying 3 different parts of the offering,
Yeah.
right? The first part of the offering is consecrating. The second part is the slaughtering. The third part is the blood. And the 4th part would be then putting it on the altar, right? So the other 3 are only hinted to. Said very clearly in the verses, don't place it on the fire, which means on the altar, which is the final thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 23. Shar v'seh, an ox or a sheep, sarua, that has mismatched limbs, not the same size, with kolut, or unclothed hooves. Nidava tase, you shall make it as a donation. Oisei, it will but a vow, it will not be accepted. What does that mean? Let's see, Rashi. Right. Well, I think it's clear. In other words, you can offer it as a gift for the temple, but it can't be brought on the temple. Okay. Well, you see, that's what it's saying. In other words, a donation you can make from it, but you can't offer it. So this is different than before, because before we just said that there was a prohibition of consecrating it. So it could be consecrated, right? That's what it's saying. You can make a donation, right? Which means you can consecrate it, but you can't offer it. Okay, let's see Rashi. You see the word, you see it from the word.
But as a vow for the altar will not act as an appeasement. So wouldn't a vow mean that you're consecrating it because you're saying, like, I'm going to offer this? Wouldn't that be what a vow means?
Essential treason.
Let's let's look into Rashi. So sarua. Asura means enlargement. One limb is greater than the other. In other words, one eye might be larger than the other. Okay. Kalut, undivided. Parsois kalutais. Its hooves are joined. Right. It has to be split hooves, right?
Yeah.
But maybe there was, in other words, there's a blemish. Point over here that there's a blemish, right? These animals have split hooves. That's what makes it kosher. But for some reason, they're stuck together. Nedavatase, I say, So it's an involuntary offering, Levitic Abayis, for the upkeep of the base of Mikdash. And it may be consecrated, and therefore, what's going to happen is like it's consecrated, and it belongs to who?
To the sanctuary.
To the sanctuary. It belongs to the base of Mikdash, right?
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it? They're going to sell it
Keep the money.
and keep the money for other things that are needed for the holy temple,
Okay.
right? So in other words, it is an offering,
But it's
but it's not something that's going to go on the altar.
Yeah.
Right? So it's something, in other words, it'll turn into cash
Yeah.
for the sanctuary, right? The Davatase I say, right? Neder. But for the vow, the Mizbeah, which is an offering on the altar, right? Remember, a neder is I am taking upon myself to bring an offering on the altar,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So, but this is blemish, these two particular blemishes, right?
Yeah.
Not the previous ones. These two particular ones, right? That is mismatched, they're not the same size of limbs, or the hooves are somehow, for some reason, attached, right? So in this, it can be given to the as a donation, but it's not going to be for the vow for the altar. Lo Yerata will not be appeased. Ezo hektish. What kind of holy object? Bal Yerata, it comes to appease. Aveimer ze hektish hamizbeach, that which is holy for the offering on the altar, right? And right, and this will not be able to be brought on the altar. It will be sold instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not the four things we just mentioned previously, those four things aren't like it's not being consecrated, it's not being slaughtered, it's
Right.
not being
Right. So here you're not transgressing a prohibition
Yeah.
of bringing it as a donation.
Mhm.
It's a donation, it is.
It's okay.
Right. But not on the altar.
Mhm.
Mol kosis, an animal whose testicles are squashed, kosis are crushed, benosun and or pulled out, chorus or severed. Lois hakrivu, this should not be offered. La Hashem for Hashem, uvartzchem loisasu, and in your land you shall not do it. Okay. We got a lot over here.
A lot of
All right.
descriptors.
Right. Okay. There's different things that are happening here with the testicles, four different things, right? And then, but also which we need to understand the distinction, and also the that it should don't do this in your land. You know, that's an unusual term also, right? So Rashi in 24. So it's mashed, squashed, disconnected, or cut. But Beitzim would be good. This is speaking about the testicles or the male organ itself of the animal. Beitzav ma'uchim biyad. Its testicles are mashed by hand. I don't know what that means exactly.
If you like squeezed it with your hands and destroyed it.
I guess so. I guess.
Gross.
Kosus, squashed. Tushim yosim ma'och. This squash implies more severely than the previous mashed. Okay. Nosuk, disconnected. Tluchim biyad, torn by hand. Ad shenifsika chutim atluyim behem, until the ducts that were suspended have been severed. Aval nusunim heim, but they're still situated b'seich hakis, inside the scrotum. The hakis loy nitlesh, and the scrotum has not been torn off. Karus prusim bekli. This is cut off by an implement, by some kind of, some for the aidam bekis, when they're still in the scrotum. Molch targum di miris. Onkelos translates di miris. Zel l'shen ba'aramis. This is the way it's the word in Aramaic. Loshen katisha, denoting crushing. The closest to targum v'di resis. He's just giving different examples of how the word's being used. Okay, next. So I think this was the key. What does it mean in your land you shouldn't do this? Davar this thing, the sort is shum behema. In other words, to castrate a domesticated animal. Not allowed to do it.
Really?
Right? Well, that's don't do this. He said, don't do what? All the things that we just mentioned. Right? These things, I guess, don't happen naturally. Right? Well, these four things to the testicles or to of the animal, right? Or to the male organ itself. So it means it was done by somebody. You're not allowed to do this, right?
You can't neuter an animal in Eretz Israel.
Well, first of all, we're speaking about these particular animals,
Okay,
kosher
yeah.
animals,
Yeah.
but actually, yeah, any animal. It's actually it's a big, yeah. That we don't learn that here. We actually learned that a few weeks ago, maybe. I think we learned it a few weeks ago. I can't remember the verse now. Anyways, so you can't castrate a domesticated animal, a chaya or a wild beast, a filu tmeya, even if it's not kosher. That's why it says in your land. Meaning anything that's in your land, even non-kosher species. Yeah, okay. So look, this is where we learn it from. I remember we learned it somewhere before, but anyways, this is it. And you can't say they were not commanded regarding castration only in the land of Israel. Because the prohibition can castrating is an obligation of the body. As it's a personal obligation in castration that obligates that happens to fall out in the land. The whole chayvus guf and any personal obligation applies being by ba'aretz or being b'chutzlars, whether in the land of Israel or outside of the land of Israel.
Wow.
So is it saying that castration of any sort is
forbidden?
The verse says here, "Ba'aretzachem in your land." Rashi says, "Whatever in your land," first, right? Which means kosher and non-kosher, because it's non-kosher animals also in the land. Then Rashi goes and says, "You can't say that this is only castration in the land of Israel." Why? Because the obligation is on you, it's not something of the land, right? Tithing is of the land, produce of the land, right? You have to tithe. That's something connected to the land, right? Not connected to you. You got to do the tithing, but it's connected to the land. Here, this prohibition is connected to you, right? So that's whether you're in the land of Israel or outside of the land of Israel.
It's not connected to the animal within the land.
No, that's the point that Rashi just said. That's what Rashi just said.
No, I know it's not within the land, but I mean, the logic that Rashi is giving here, he's saying that it's not like it's the animal that's within the land, not within the land, like the animal, is it the animal that you find within the land, wherever it is, no matter if it's in the land or not, you can't castrate? Or is it about like the person shall not castrate?
That's the point that he exactly just said. The person can. There's different ways you can look at mitzvahs, right? Right. The mitzvah of tithing is connected to the land and the produce, right? In other words,
isn't it connected to the person doing the tithing?
Well, of course, there has to. Everything is the person,
Yeah.
right? The question is where maybe a better example. Let me give a sabbatical year. It's the land that has to be resting. I'm the one, obviously, that can't till the soil now because of that. But it's not it's something of the object rather than the person, right? Of course, the person every mitzvah is only about the person doing the mitzvah. The question is, where does it begin the mitzvah, right? Where does it begin, right? So castration begins in the person.
It's not the animal.
It's not the animal. It's in the person. A person can't castrate. So it means wherever. Doesn't matter where you are. But my only question is how Rashi actually gets this. Where does he see that it's based on the person? The verse over here says, "Ba'aretzachem in your land."
But even the field, to work the field it's still the person is start from
Always,
the person.
it's not a command on the field. The field doesn't get commandments.
Okay,
right?
yeah, sure. It's a person who operates something or is
Right,
forbidden
but-
to do something.
Right, but
Or maybe the tree is connected to the ground of the land, and an animal is not connected to the land. It can walk outside the land. Or I don't know.
no.
Because it still starts with the man. It's the person who operates.
No.
Yeah?
Maybe the mitzvah starts with the object and your relationship to that object. It's your relationship to the object, or is it about the you? Right.
With you see the two
No,
places.
no. There's a very refined. Follow the difference. Is it begin with the object that has to be in such a state? Or does it begin in me that I have to deal with it in such a way?
Mhm.
Where does it begin? Of course, it's always going to be your engagement with it because there's no mitzvah. God doesn't command the land to do something. He doesn't command anything except to us, right? We have choices in how we can deal with something. The land doesn't, right? So the question is, what's the key over here? Is it the object that has to be in a certain state of being, or is it me that has to do something or not do something? So when it comes to castration, it's not, in other words, it's not about the animal that it cannot be castrated. That's not the main point. It's me that I cannot do the act of castration. That's right.
Yeah.
But
That's the key.
the animal
Okay,
has an
wait.
integrity.
What?
Let's say the animal has an integrity. You cannot castrate. You cannot change its state. You cannot take off something.
Okay, I want to finish this, so we're going to come back. We'll have to come back, okay? Because I don't want to. Because we got too much to do, and I want to finish it. Okay, but just again, is it that I can't castrate, or the animal can't be castrated? So yeah, the mitzvah is I can't castrate. It's not that the animal can't be castrated, but I can't. Now, ipso facto, that means the animal won't be castrated, right? Got it?
I get it.
Got it? Menachem Hillel?
I'm still on track.
Well, Baruch Hashem, we're going to learn this once again.
Yeah, there's some other things about this verse that doesn't make sense too. Like how it gets. I know you want to move on, but I don't get how he's getting to the fact that I understand the fact that like the land is like in a state and it's like you're not the land's doing what it's doing and you're just refraining from doing something to it. But when it talks about any duty incumbent upon a person applies both in the land and outside the land. Like, is that for everything? That like every
No, only concerning castration.
But
Only
it says
castration of
any
animals.
duty incumbent upon a person. It says any duty. It doesn't say castration. It says any duty.
When you're right. Any mitzvah that the duty is on the person rather than on the object,
Okay, it's everywhere.
then it's everywhere. Then that mitzvah is everywhere,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
In other words, for example, I have a mitzvah. Is the mitzvah that sukkah needs to be sat in? Or I have the mitzvah that I have to sit in the sukkah? No, it's me. Not that a sukkah needs to be sat in. That would be the object,
Yeah.
right? So then, that object, well, it's only in Israel, let's say, right? No, the mitzvah's on me. So since the mitzvah's on me, so therefore I have to sit here in Montreal too, not just in Israel. It's a personal obligation rather than the object that has to be dealt, that has to be fulfilled through me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it?
Yeah, I get it.
If it was that a sukkah needs to be sat in, so then you would say, well, then it's only in Israel. Then maybe that object needs to be like Truma and Meiser.
Yeah.
Truma and Meiser is the object of the produce, is something that has to be given in the land, because the object needs to be given as Truma and Meiser, right? Of course, I'm the one who has to do it. It's my field, right? But then it's only in Israel. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it with the field, I don't get it with the object that you're talking about. I get about letting the field, like, you're letting the field grow, so you're
Okay.
not modifying.
All right. Next. And from the hands of an non-Jew, you should not bring an offering lekechem to your God. Mikol Eile, from all of these, for they are an injury upon them, and they are a defect on them. They will not be accepted for you. Right. Let's see Rashi 25. From the hands of a stranger, he brings an offering. Through a kayin, to offer to heaven, to God. Do not offer balmum, a blemished animal. Even though that blemished animals were not forbidden for offering of a ben noyach, a non-Jew, unless they were missing a limb. In other words, before the Torah was given, right, non-Jews brought offering, right? There's laws about that for the Bnei Noach. So they're allowed to bring if it's blemished. They just can't bring it if it was missing a limb. That's not allowed according to Torah law for a Ben Noach, right?
Is that from the 7 Noahide laws in terms of like you can't
Exactly.
eat a torn animal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Missing a limb. Exactly. The law applies to a platform which is on the field, an altar other than the base of Mikdash tap or the Mishkan. In other words, that was out, right? Non-Jews bringing, or a Ben Noach bringing anywhere outside of Jerusalem, right? So they could bring it as long as it could be blemished, but it can't be missing a limb, right? But on the altar of the tabernacle, there you're not allowed to bring any kind of blemished animal. But of an unblemished animal, except it from non-Jews. That's why it says above, ish, man. That's speaking about from the house of Israel or someone who converted, right, to bring an offering. Lab is called es hanochrim. This includes a non-Jew. That they make a pledge and vows and voluntary offerings. Israel like Jews. That's
so non-Jews
interesting.
can bring an offering to
Yes.
the Jewish altar.
Yes, except it can't be blemished.
Yeah, in that case.
So what I don't get, okay, but that's exactly like the Jew then. There's no distinction, it seems to me. Let's see further. So then what?
Yeah.
But we already learned out ish, man,
Yeah.
includes the non-Jew. So if it includes the non-Jew, right, then what do we have to say it here for? Let's see further, maybe because of the further. Mash chasam, it's a corruption. Chibulahim. Their injury, lo yirate lechem, will not be a peace to you, lechaper aleichem, to atone on your behalf.
So you can't use a non-Jew's offering to atone for yourself.
No, if it's got a blemish.
So could it be a case where the blemished animal cannot be sold and used money? Is it this case? Because
Seems to be, yeah.
Because with the Jew, you could sell the blemished
Right.
animal and use funds.
Yeah, seemingly.
But
Seemingly.
Oh, you can't sell this one?
that's the question I'm getting.
No, I mean, no. We know because that we learned previously, so it's not mentioning here. We don't have to mention that. He could consecrate it if it's blemished. Seemingly, he could consecrate it. It just means it can't be an offering. Remember, we made a distinction between consecrating and offering.
Yeah.
Right? Consecrating, we could when it was. Oh, by the way, it was only with those two things. Where the legs were not the same height, right? The same length, or hooves, right? Not being thoroughly split. So it was only in those two instances in any case, right? Okay, next. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Shor or kesef or aze, or an ox, a sheep, or a goat, that will be born, v'haya shivas yamim, and it will be 7 days tachasimai under its mother, and may remain under its mother, right? The animal. And from the 8th day, Vahala, and thereafter, Yiratze lekarben, it will be then accepted as an offering, Yishe la Hashem, a fire offering to Hashem. Rashi, Yivole Prat L'Yetzi, and this excludes an animal sacrifice that was delivered by cesarean section.
They can't be sacrificed. Or can they, but,
Yeah.
or can they?
I think that means that they might be able to be before
Yeah.
8 days.
Because they didn't go through.
Right. Yeah. A shore, an ox, or a sheep. So it's interesting, goat isn't mentioned. I think sometimes goat is included in sheep. Previous verse said kesev. Here it says seh. I think the word seh means to include sheep and goat.
So it's like a broader category.
A broader category, because the previous verse said kesev, right? And then aiz, goat. It's a different word. So you cannot slaughter it and its offspring in one day. Rashi, it and its offspring. Nayeg, this law applies, benekeva, a female parent, also nishchait, that's forbidden to slaughter ha'aim, the mother, ba'ben, or abbas, and the son or the daughter on the same day. But does not apply with male parent, that is permitted to slaughter ha'av, the father and the offspring on the same day. Where Rashi gets this? How does Rashi know this? I'm not certain.
Especially in Jewish law.
The only difference I see is 7th day and then 8th day onwards. I don't know if like 7th day somehow is creating some, like there's a day difference between 7 and 8, but like why does he need to say that? Why
It says the opposite. It says benoi, not beno. I don't know. That benoi means his offspring, not her offspring. But Rashi says, okay, Tzorchin, we're not going to go into that now.
So many questions on this one.
Yeah. Aisei bez benoi, af benoi, ve'aisei b'mishma. Also included prohibition of slaughtering its offspring and then it. There's either way. Okay, 29. Now we're speaking about a Thanksgiving offering. That was shlomim till now, right?
Mhm.
First we did the burnt offering, then we did the peace offering. Now we're doing the Thanksgiving offering. Todah means?
Thank you.
Exactly. He says, when you will offer slaughter, zebach, when you will offer a zebach todah, a Thanksgiving offering, la Hashem, to God, do it that it should be acceptable. Rashi, you should do it to gain favor. At the outset of the slaughter of the Thanksgiving offering, there's it's the verse here is warning us to take care that it should be fit for acceptance on your behalf. And so what does it mean? What's the condition here that it should be favorable for you? Right? Means on that day you must eat it, the same day. So this verse comes to enjoin us and to warn us that the slaughter should be on the condition that you and don't slaughter it to eat it in the following day. And as when you're slaughtering it, you need to be mindful that I'm eating it today, the Thanksgiving offering, and not tomorrow. If I'm just thinking to eat it, forget about it, I eat it tomorrow. I'm just thinking to eat it tomorrow. That slaughtering is invalid. Because if you will think at the time when you slaughter machshavas psul, a disqualifying thought, right, that I'm going to eat it beyond the time limit when I'm allowed to eat it, lo yelachem l'ratz, and this will not gain favor on your behalf. This is called pigul in the halachic terminology. Alternatively, so that's one explanation what it means here, that it should be favorable for you. Another, means over here with your awareness. Mikan. Rashi is picking up in the words over here. It's favorable in your, it's favorable
Do you?
in your offer, in the offering, meaning you need to have in mind when you're offering, when you're slaughtering it, and it's slaughter, it's favorable. How's it favorable in the slaughter? Why in the slaughter is favorable? Because in the slaughter, you need to have the proper mind awareness and think that I'm eating it in the right time, not in the wrong time. Okay? Otherwise, what's favorable in slaughter?
So in Hebrew,
Because if you slaughtered it and it wasn't kosher, so then it's obviously not going to be on the altar. So you slaughtered it properly. So what is favorable in the slaughter? Means that you had in mind when you slaughtered it that you're going to eat it in the proper time.
okay.
Right? That's the first explanation. The second is that it means over here that it's an awareness. Mikan, from Misasig, we learn that someone performs an action inadvertently, Shiposel, it's invalid. Shchitas Kochim, when it comes to the slaughter of holy offerings, and even though that the verse over here specifically says an offering that is not valid, if the slaughter has in mind that it will be eaten beyond the time limit that was set for it, then Cholim Bishnei Yamim, with regard to those offerings that are to be eaten for 2 days, Chazar Uprat, it is stated it specifically again here, with regard to those offerings that are eaten in only 1 day, that the slaughter should be in order to eat it, in its proper time. Ooh, I'm not going to dwell on that further because I'm not clear on something there, but sorry. But next Rashi, next verse 30. But on that day, you should eat it. Right? That day, not the following day. Remember, that's what you had in mind, right? Do not leave anything over from it ad boiker until the morning, meaning it's only that day. Ani Hashem, I'm Hashem. That's a good question. Let's see Rashi. You'll do homework and you'll tell us.
All right.
Okay, not
I'll
now.
report back tomorrow.
Please. They must be eaten on that same day. It only comes to tell us over here that the law should be on this condition. Okay, so Rashi's saying, again, same thing, that the slaughtering has to be. We learned this already, right?
Mhm.
But that was only that, in fact, don't eat it on the wrong time.
Mhm.
But what if you had in mind?
Mhm.
That's what we're learning over
Okay.
here. Okay? Because if you set a time limit for its eating, that's already written, as Ariel said, right? That was in Parshas Tzav in the second portion, chapter 7, verse 15. We already said that. And the flesh of Thanksgiving offering, it said over there that you can only eat it at the proper time that day.
Mhm.
So here it's not coming to tell us. Here it's that you have to eat it in that day, or only in that day. We know that already. Here's coming to tell that when you slaughter it, have that in mind.
Mhm.
Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. Dami shegazer. Know who issued the decree al davar regarding this matter. It should not be light in your eyes. I was thinking, well, what's the difference what I had in my mind? So I had the wrong thought. Okay, big deal. You shall heed my commandments. You shall do them. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. Shmartim. Zu Mishnah. What does it mean? What are you gonna heed over here? What are you gonna keep? Keep means over here, learn it. Mishnah. Memorize. Know it. These laws. Vasisem. Zemaisa, that's action.
Mhm.
Okay. 32. Let's quickly finish over here.
Mhm.
Okay. 32. I do not desecrate my holy name. I shall be sanctified amidst the children of Israel. I am Hashem who sanctifies you. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, let's see. Rashi. 32. Do not defile Laver al devare, to violate my words, mizidim, intentionally. This is the implication over here that in other words, you did it willfully, right? Because it says, you shall not defile. We infer from that God's sanctification will exist if there is no defilement. Yep. In other words, you willfully did it, right? Ma Talmud Loimar. Why does the verse say explicitly in V'nikdashti that I shall be sanctified? Mosel atzmacha, surrender yourself. V'kachi shmi, and sanctify my name. Yochav yochim. So this is actually speaking about, interesting over here, how this goes into sanctifying. How? By giving up your life. This is what we learn, that you give up your life for Hashem. Right? So you might think that I have to give up my life to sanctify God's name. That when the obligation to submit yourself, to give your life up, when instead of violating God's Torah in the presence of a single individual. Talmud Leimer, but the verse says otherwise. It says amongst the children of Israel, which implies that there are many people witnessing the sin that you're doing. Right? Is that clear? Right? Okay, and then when he surrenders himself, he should surrender himself in order to condition that he should die, and understanding that you might die. Right? Because then he surrenders that I'm ready to give my life up, but I'm waiting for a miracle. So as he's saying here, no, don't wait for a miracle. Be ready to give up your life, because being connected to Hashem and not transgressing the will of God is greater than life, is what he's saying over here. And not waiting for a miracle. Because if you do wait for a miracle won't happen for you. Right? We find this by Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah in Tanakh. They did not surrender themselves to Manasseh and Nes in order that God should, on condition God should make a miracle for them. Because the verse says, Malka. For if not, it will not save us. Let it be known to the king, matzah v'loy matzah, whether he saves or we're not saved. Let it be known. In other words, we're doing it for God's sake. Last verse, I'm the God who took you out of the land of Egypt, to be for you a God. I am Hashem. I took you on a condition that you'll be willing to sanctify your life by sacrificing your life for me, and not to think that since it's an obligation that you're going to receive a reward for sacrificing yourself.
Just do it because he took you out of Egypt.
Yeah, I did it on condition.
Yeah.
Not because I took you out of Egypt. The reason I took you out of Egypt is that you're ready to sacrifice your life for me. Ani Hashem, you will be. Don't worry, you're going to get a reward for that when you fulfill my Torah.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, there's a lot more we got to dwell on in there, but we're going.